Hey, JulesBlessedVegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I am continuing to pray for this situation in Texas, for the mercy on all those precious individuals who died, including 2 teachers. It turned out that there was this teacher of 17 years and a partner teacher of 23 years, and both of them sacrificed themselves to protect as many children as they could. So yeah, when the person in the comments challenges me and says, "Oh, it took you 1 whole minute before you condemned all 18-year-olds with guns. They have a constitutional right to defend themselves." First of all, our 18-year-olds aren't the mature individuals they once were at a different time in history. Kids are living at home in their 20s and 30s. But you know what? It's an argument for another day. You do you, and I'll continue to protect children and, pray for our schools. All right, anyway, what I want to talk about is what is a natural human diet? So a big argument is that we're frugivores. Our hands work for it, our teeth work for it. It's super easy to pull and consume those fruits, and our body is super happy with the digestive process. Some argue that fruit isn't available everywhere at all times, and so it's not necessarily reasonable. And then some say that we're starchivores, which I have even more trouble with because honestly, even though fire's been around for a while, humans aren't very patient, and to have to take the time to always create fire and attempt to cook and everything for those different things, especially like potatoes and sweet potatoes and things, isn't very realistic to me, though humans are super capable and adaptable, hence the reason they readily kill billions of animals a year and attempt to consume that, though I will say all day long the joke is on us because it's killing us, and before it kills us effectively, it gives us tons of unhealthy, uncomfortable diseases. So this is a third argument, and this is by Dr. Michael Gregor, and I think he's very cool, and I've seen him many times for different things. And he's just saying, can you calm down and not limit yourself to either Frugivore or Starchivore? Let's see what he has to say. And of course, I'll include this in the description of the video, and it is called The Natural Human Diet. Our epidemics of dietary disease have prompted a great deal of research into what humans are meant to eat for optimal health. In 1985, an influential article, which is a hyperlink, highlighted in my video the problem with the paleo diet argument, and again that's a hyperlink, was published proposing that our chronic diseases stem from a disconnect between what our bodies ate while evolving during the Stone Age about 2 million years ago and what we're stuffing our faces with today. The proposal advocated for a return towards a hunter-gatherer type diet of lean meat, fruits, vegetables, and nuts. I'm all against meat. I don't want anyone consuming any animal. But what I will say about the hunter-gatherers, of course, is that they literally had to not only constantly be on the move to find their food, but they literally had to hunt their food. So they were getting in all the physical activity as well as fighting for the tiniest amounts of meat when they could get it. Unlike now, where it's available every single meal of every single day, and usually in fried form, and it's a major problem. So it says it's reasonable to assume our nutritional requirements were established in the prehistoric past. However, the question is, which prehistoric past should we emulate? Why just the last 2 million? We've been evolving for about 20 million years since our last common great ape ancestor, which is an argument for another day, during which our nutrient requirements and digestive physiology were set down. Therefore, our hunter-gatherer days at the tail end probably had little effect. What were we eating for the first 90% of our evolution? What the rest of the great apes ended up eating? 95% or more plants. And that's a hyperlink as well. And I was thinking, we're not really evolved from apes and not monkeys. Our closest ancestor or relative, if you will, and again, I absolutely understand that humans were never that, and at the very least, The chimpanzees, which their DNA only differs by 1.6%, but that 1.6% stopped from the ability to communicate in words, the ability to stand, and walk. Like all the shortcomings of why they're not more human just separates us by 1.6% in our DNA. But that's a lot different than wondering why we're not more like them. What? Humans were made in the image of God. Like, why, pray tell, would we want to devolve to the ape family? Hooey woody? All right. This may explain why we're so susceptible to heart disease. Interesting. For most of human evolution, cholesterol may have been virtually absent from the diet. Amen. They weren't eating anything to do with animals. No bacon, butter, or trans fats, and massive amounts of fiber, which pulls cholesterol from the body. This could have been a problem since our body needs a certain amount of cholesterol, but our bodies evolved not only to make cholesterol, but also to preserve it and recycle it. How brilliant is that? If we think of the human body as a cholesterol-conserving machine, then plop it into the modern world of bacon, eggs, cheese, chicken, pork, and pastry. And of course, that's a very small group, right? It's no wonder artery clogging heart disease is our #1 cause of death. What used to be adaptive for 90% of our evolution, holding on to cholesterol at all costs since we weren't getting much in our diet, is today maladaptive, a liability leading to the clogging of our arteries. Our bodies just can't handle it. Word. As the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology noted, and again hyperlinked 25 years ago, no matter how much fat and cholesterol carnivores eat, they do not develop arteriosclerosis. We can feed a dog 500 eggs worth of cholesterol, and they just wag their tail. A dog's body is used to eating and getting rid of excess cholesterol. Conversely, within months, a fraction of that cholesterol can start clogging the arteries of animals adapted to eating a more plant-based diet. Let me say, no matter how much fat and cholesterol carnivores eat, they do not develop arteriosclerosis. Okay. Even if our bodies were designed by natural selection to eat mostly fruit, greens, and seeds for 90% of our evolution, why didn't we better adapt to meat eating in the last 10% during the Paleolithic period? We've had nearly 2 million years to get used to all of the extra saturated fat and cholesterol. If a lifetime of eating like that clogs up nearly everyone's arteries, why didn't the genes of those who got heart attacks die off and get replaced by those that could live to a ripe old age with clean arteries regardless of what they ate? Because most didn't survive into old age. This is a new phenomenon. Most prehistoric people didn't live long enough to get heart attacks. When the average life expectancy is 25 years old, then the genes that get passed along are those that can live to reproductive age by any means necessary. And that means not dying of starvation. The more calories in food, the better. Eating lots of bone marrow and brains, God, right? Human or otherwise, would have a selective advantage, as would discovering a time machine. Listen to this. As would discovering a time machine stash of Twinkies, for that matter. If we only have to live long enough to get our kids to puberty, to pass along our genes, then we don't have to evolve any protections against the ravages of chronic disease. Wow. Let's look at that again. If we only have to live long enough to get our kids to puberty, to pass along our genes, then we don't have to evolve any protections against the ravages of chronic disease. To find a population nearly free of chronic disease in old age, we don't have to go back a million years. The 20th century, networks of missionary hospitals in rural Africa found coronary artery disease virtually absent, again a hyperlink, and not just heart disease, but high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes, common cancers, and more. In a sense, these populations in rural China and Africa were eating the type of diet we've been eating for 90% of the 20 million years, a diet most exclusively plant food. How do we know it was their diet and not something else? In the 25-year update to their original paleo paper, the authors tried to clarify that they did not then and do not now propose that people adopt a particular diet just based on what our ancient ancestors ate. Dietary recommendations must be put to the test. That's why the pioneering research from Pritikin, Ornish, and Esselstyn is so important, showing that plant-based diets can not only stop heart disease, but have been proven to reverse it in the majority of patients. Indeed, it's the only diet that ever has. That's straight up. For more on the absence of Western diseases in plant-based rural populations, see for examples, and there's several. Yeah. P.S. If you haven't yet, you can subscribe. There's always an ad, let's be fair. But yeah, Michael Gregor is a doctor in New York Times bestselling author. And he's just amazing for plant-based living. Amazing. You can follow him on Instagram. You can certainly look up more about him. He has several books. He's just brilliant, really. All right, so interesting. So he's like, you know what? A little bit of each. Go with the nuts, go with the grain, stay with the fruit, stay with the plants, get off all meat and animals. I don't want to insert duh here, but duh. All right, my friends. Like if you like, join us if you haven't. Subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. And until we talk again, best of all, know that you're blessed.